Hello, my name is Jasmin Wentworth. I'm Australian. I live in Australia and I need the world's help in stopping child molestation and child rape against children in Australia. I've been to every department for the last 11 years. I've been to the courts, to docs, child safety. I've been to doctors, to counsellors, to psychiatrists, to the court for 11 years in Australia, federal and family court. And unfortunately, my child is still not with me. I've had 7 years without him, and his father had raped and molested and sodomised him. I had gone to every department in Australia since 2009. It's now 2020. And I am still trying to get my child home and my ex-husband locked up for child molestation and child rape and sodomising my son. Now, in Australia, pedophiles stay free. Child molesters, child rapists stay free. I've been to every department from here to eternity, and still children are being abused in Australia and pedophiles die free in Australia. Now why? Why is this so? I've been to the Prime Ministers. I've been to 3 Prime Ministers 5 times. I've called also the current Prime Minister and I've emailed him. I've been to the Federal Police. I've been to every police department in Queensland, Australia, to get my child free of my ex-husband, Owen Thomas, to no avail. He's still free and I still don't have my child 7 years later. I have not seen him for 7 years. He's 13. He was taken from me to a pedophile at 6 years old, and it still goes on. For 11 years I've fought against child rape, child molestation and child abuse in Australia to get nowhere, to get absolutely nowhere other than to be told I'm mental, I'm lying, I'm making it up. My child's making it up. I put it in his head. Now, this pedophile ring involves a forced adoption family that raised me and my twin sister. They have put orders against us in the court. The court-appointed psychiatrist said that we were lying, making it up, and everything that you could think of under the book of nasty lies and slander against me and my twin sister because we're speaking up against child rape and child molestation. Now, in Australia, children are given to the fathers in the court system, and the child molester, the child raping father, the violent father, is given the child. The mother's locked up in mental hospitals and told she's making it up, she's lying. And this has happened to dozens, hundreds, thousands of mothers in Australia. They couldn't come here today to talk to you, the world, because they've been locked up, some of them 10 years in mental hospitals, saying they were lying, in ITOs, involuntary treatment orders. This is what this forced adoption family that I was raised by is trying to do to my twin sister and I, with the help of the courts, the federal and family courts of Australia, have called us every name under the sun, have tried to lock us up in hospital, in jail, and tell us that we are lying and making it up about our children being molested, raped and sodomised, even though my own son has told me since 6 years old and he's now 13. So in Australia, pedophiles are free and the mother has the death sentence and the convictions because I've had death threats, violence, stalked my house, stalked my home, stalked driving. I'm stalked everywhere by a pedophile ring of pedophiles in every occupation in Australia. I'm talking doctors, court-appointed psychiatrists, on the benches in the federal court and the family court, and in every department in Australia, docs, and in the schools, in the primary schools, in the high schools, there are dozens and dozens of pedophiles in every 3rd household in Australia. The Commonwealth of England set up Australia, and every 3rd household, every 2nd generation, there's child abuse, child molestation and child rape, and the child molester, child rapist, pedophile is free. Now, what justice is that in Australia? I knew this at 5 years old when I was abused myself by a forced adoption family. They're still stating that I'm related to them and that I'm making things up, I'm lying and I'm slandering about a pedophile that my son is also saying is a pedophile, because pedophiles aid and abet pedophiles, they help pedophiles. I've had dozens of witnesses say they had abused them as children. So for 51 years, they'd abused their own children and cousins and nephews and nieces. And this is the family that raised me and said that I'm their relative, which I'm not. My name's Jasmin Wentworth and I was forced adoption from my mother. And they then helped and aided and abetted my ex-husband, the pedophile, to take my son off me for 7 years. And so I have not had my child for 7 years. I have also had my job taken off me, a hate campaign on social media. All these pedophiles have edited, recorded and stalked me at my house, my work, my friends, my relationships and everything in order to shut me up against child rape and child molestation in Australia. My twin sister and I have no jobs now because they have shut us up. They've edited, recorded us and lied about us on Facebook, and there's dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people on this Facebook hate campaign against us that have helped stalk and slander and lie and make shit up about us. Now, these are pedophiles in a pedophile ring of all occupations. I know that for a fact because the victims of the pedophiles have spoken up as adults. And I myself was abused by their grandparents because they're a forced adoption family. So that's Australia for you. Unfortunately, the rest of the world, I don't know how you deal with pedophiles, but pedophiles in Australia are out and free. Or if it's a public case, then they're put in jail and let out straight away to reoffend. Now, pedophiles are sick until they're dead. They do not stop offending children. They have a sick psychosexual disorder against children, and they abuse children from naught until they're of age. So they've gone from the days of the little park where they're doing circles around the parks for your children to social media, to having an entire pedophile ring in Australia, hiding, harbouring, helping and assisting each other in a hate campaign against me and my twin sister because we are speaking up against them, against child rape, child molestation and child abuse of my own son, of me and of hundreds, not thousands of people I know as victims in Australia. As I've spent nearly 10 years overseas myself, living in different countries, I've also met victims around the world that have been raped or molested or abused by pedophiles. This has to stop. You need to speak up with me, to speak up and never shut up against pedophiles because they're trying to shut me up and lock me up to stop me talking about who is pedophile and who isn't. So please, now support my campaign, which is a campaign to protect children and to keep children safe, especially my precious one child that has been taken, abused, raped, molested, sodomized, and destroyed for the rest of his existence on this earth. And it still continues because I don't know where he is. They're still lying and they're covering it up in Australia, and I need the world to act and get help to get my child home to me, his mum, who loves him unconditionally. I love my baby. I will not say his name to protect him. But you need to know, world, the rest of the world, that pedophiles in Australia are free to abuse, to molest and to rape. And none of them are in jail. All of them die free. And if they go to jail, they reoffend and they're out in a few weeks, months or years. As you know, you can look it up yourself on Google and you can see even convicted pedophiles in Australia are given the children in the federal and family courts of Australia. I've written a book about it. I've gone to every department in Australia about it, and I've sent a book around the world about the courts of Australia and every organisation in Australia hiding and harbouring it and being it. Now, they're trying to shut me up to say it, but here I am to tell you, world, so you can judge for yourself. I want my child home and free, and I want pedophiles locked up for life because they're sick, they've got a psychosexual disorder, and children deserve to be safe and free in every country in the world, especially in Australia. So I've been Jasmin Wentworth. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you can speak up and never shut up with me against child rape, child abuse, child molestation and pedophilia. So thank you. Thanks for your help. Bye.